Welcome to another episode of Jets Mailbag. I'm your host, Jeane Coakley, and I am joined by my co-host for this and every episode, Mr. Connor Hughes. Connor, I see you're joining us from a hotel room, I think? Where you at?
I got kicked out of my house. No, I'm on my way to
Breece smartened up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Giants practice on Wednesday, and then obviously had to go to that because of the Brian Dable firing. So basically, got in the car from East Rutherford, drove the 5 hours it took because of traffic to
Wow.
Providence, Rhode Island, and now I'm gonna somehow find some place to eat tonight that's still open, and then we're gonna get to the game tomorrow night. So it's gonna be nice and fun. But yeah, the life of being on the road. I normally, Janae, I do fly. That's the game plan every time I go to Boston. Like, I live close to Philly, so I pop in the airport there, fly here to Boston, get out. It's a really easy trip. The whole government shutdown, reopening, how crazy the airport is, the hell commute I had coming home from Chicago, I was like, I'm going to drive. Not going to lie, regret that. Regret making that my decision.
Next time, take the train, because that's what I'm doing. I'm heading up on the train tomorrow. 2-hour, nice little Acela.
Should have done that. Yeah,
all right. Hey, well, listen, Connor, the Jets won their second game in a row on Sunday over the Browns and are rewarded with the top of the division New England Patriots on a Thursday night football game this week. So without further ado, let's get to the fans' questions. You ready to go?
I am ready. Let's do it.
All right. This is from Twins. Do you see growth from the coaching side of Aaron Glenn when it comes to clock and game management? The Jets, the last 2 weeks, have let their opponents lose in Jets ways.
That's a good point. I think what I've seen, or the biggest place I've seen the growth from, isn't necessarily in that, because I do think you need to take into consideration the opponents that the Jets played. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals are in a real weird place defensively. I mean, that was a team that dropped 38 on the Jets and still managed to lose. And the next week, I think they dropped 40-something and still managed to lose. That's in a weird spot. And then Dylan Gabriel just isn't any good. The Browns are spiraling. Kevin Stefanski's kind of a lame duck. So I know I'm taking things away from the Jets' 2 victories, but I don't look at this as, oh, they figured stuff out. They're suddenly putting their team, they're at a tactical advantage, and now kudos to the coaching staff. But I will say that the major aspect of these 2 victories that impressed me most is that you see a team that's learning how to win. And these haven't been perfect. These haven't been pretty. And in the first game, the victory over the Cincinnati Bengals, it was a disaster of a defensive performance. Again, they allowed 38 points. Didn't matter. The defense found a way to make a stop when they needed it on the game's final drive, and the offense scored 39 points of their own, led by Breece Hall. This one against the Browns, it was not an offensive firepower heroics from the Jets. You know, they got 2 touchdowns from special teams, back-to-back kicks, you know, with a punt and then a kick return. That's rare. You can say that's lucky, but it doesn't matter. They weren't getting the good offensive performance, so they used their special teams and their defense to find a way to win that game. And again, late, the defense came up with a big stop. So I think when you're in a lost season that is not going anywhere, the Jets are not making the playoffs, they're not making the Super Bowl, nothing like that, you want to find the little pieces that you can use as building blocks for the future. And for the core members of this team who are going to be around when the Jets conceivably turn it around, moments like this are key because you're finding ways to win football games when in some cases maybe you shouldn't have.
All right, let's move on to Chris Fizz, because is there a world where Justin Fields performs good enough to keep him at QB1? Wait, he's QB1? I thought we didn't know who the quarterback was going to be.
Yeah, right. He's talking about in the future. I don't know if Justin Fields is going to be quarterback 1 after this week or the next week.
Second half.
He threw for 54 passing yards, and 41 of them came on one play on a screen pass, let alone. So Justin Fields is limited in what he can do. And unfortunately, because of the Jets roster, they don't have the ability to create an environment where he's going to have a ton of success. Their defense is not elite. They don't have a lot of extra playmakers opposite Garrett Wilson. I know Mason Taylor's solid and Breece Hall, but that's really it. So you're going to have these games like they had against a really good defense in the Cleveland Browns where they can bracket and take away Garrett Wilson and then dare the Jets to beat them with something else. Breece Hall had an efficient day, 80-something yards on the ground, but he wasn't a world gang beater, and it wasn't for those 2 special teams touchdowns. The Jets don't beat the lowly Cleveland Browns. So, no, I don't think there's much that look, conceivably, yes, Justin Fields wins 6 of these final games and looks like an all-pro quarterback and all that stuff. Yeah, the Jets are going to feel really comfortable going into next season with him as their starting quarterback. But I just don't see that happening because aside from the Steelers game and aside from moments in the Bengals game, I have not seen anything from Justin Fields that makes you want to have him as your unquestioned starting quarterback next year. I just haven't.
All right, well,
That's
let's
going
keep
back
on.
to training camp and OTAs.
Exactly. Well, let's keep on the quarterback conversation because one fan's take at New York Jets football. Funny, we're always talking about quarterbacks, Connor.
Yeah.
Realistic veteran options for the Jets if they don't like or aren't in range for a quarterback in 2026.
That's the thing. Financially, the
Yeah.
veteran option's probably going to be Justin Fields. That contract the Jets viewed Fields as their potential lottery ticket. They saw him as what Sam Darnold was for the Minnesota Vikings, where Darnold went to the Panthers and struggled and went to the 49ers and was strictly a backup and then got with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota and exploded and became the quarterback that the Seattle Seahawks gave $100 million to. Well, you look at where things stand right now with the Minnesota Vikings, and if they had to redo it, they're probably not letting Sam Darnold walk out the door. They're not going to just roll the dice with J.J. McCarthy. They're going to keep the guy that they know can win 3,000 games or win 13 games. Yeah, right.
3,000 yards.
Yeah, right. 13 games, throw for 4,000 yards, have Justin Jefferson looking tremendous. That's the guy they're going to keep. So the Jets, did they have any grandiose ideas that Justin Fields was going to be a franchise quarterback? No, probably not. But when they analyzed his talent, what they thought was, okay, let's get him to Tanner Engstrand. Let's build an offense around him and let's give him the opportunity with new coaching because of his talent. Because if you watch him, he is an accurate thrower when he can be. He does have a very lively arm and he's a ridiculous athlete and maybe the best running quarterback in the NFL in terms of power, speed, maneuverability, and agility. If they could find a way to marry those physical attributes with the mental aspect of the game, the Jets were going to have a quarterback with top tier talent who they believed had the potential to win 12, 13, 14 games. They built a contract that was going to keep Fields with them for 2 years so that if he did blow up this year, they weren't going to lose him to some other team next year or be in a situation like the Giants were with Daniel Jones, where they're bidding against themselves. Fields can hold their feet to the flames and suddenly they got to give him a $40-50 million a year contract. They'd have him at a good rate for 2 years. The problem is that Fields has not even looked like a starting quarterback for 90% of his games this season, absent that opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has not looked like somebody you can build an offense around. He's looked like somebody that you want to move on from as fast as you can. There just isn't a financial way to do that. So unless the Jets basically rebuild the Giants approach where you have Jameis Winston, rookie quarterback, and then a Russell Wilson type guy where you throw another veteran to the mix, say Kirk Cousins, I just don't see that being the case. So I think you're probably going to have Fields with them next year. Then you're going to have the rookie that they draft, assuming they don't go on some run where they win 4 or 5 games this season and find themselves picking outside 4 or 5 additional games this season and find themselves picking outside the top 5, top 10.
All right, let's talk about the running back situation for next year.
Yeah.
I mean, considering we're talking about the next year, because Dan B wants to know, do you think they'll explore an extension or consider tagging Breece Hall? What could an extension look like?
Jeane, if you would have asked me this 3 weeks ago, I would have said hell no. There's
I would
no
have said the
chance
same thing.
that's no chance that's happening at all. But Hall is mentally started to put himself in a headspace that looks really good. The video that came out after the trade deadline where he's driving the go-kart around the locker room, he's doing TikToks with Garrett Wilson. He just seems to be in a really healthy headspace. And you've seen his play now improve as a result. He was the featured guy with the Bengals. He had a really significant role against the Browns. And I still probably hedge my bets towards he's not back next year. But that transition tag is starting to look really appealing. Franchise tag even appealing. A normal 3-year contract extension making a little bit more sense, especially because I don't know if you can totally rely on Braylon Allen as good as Braylon Allen has looked at points in training camp and probably was going to look that way during the regular season here as well. So there's still time to completely change this or really put me on the boat to bring back Breece Hall. And I still probably hedge my bets towards that way, but I feel much more comfortable in a potential Breece Hall extension now than I did a couple weeks ago. And if he has another good game here on Thursday night against New England, builds on that next week and the week after that, and the week after that, you're going to get to the point where suddenly it's not do the Jets want Breece Hall back. It's how much is Breece Hall going to demand to come back to the Jets.
All right, well, we talked about the quarterback, we talked about the running backs. Now we need to talk about these young receivers.
Sure.
But this all goes back to the quarterback situation, actually. So let's talk Adam B's question. How can these young receivers be fairly evaluated if the Jets keep playing a quarterback who's afraid to throw?
Yeah.
Great question, Adam B.
And ultimately, I think that's why you're still going to see Tyrod Taylor this year. And be honest, if Taylor hadn't taken a fluky helmet to the knee, he's the starting quarterback. And if Justin Fields hadn't beaten the Bengals, or miracle win hadn't beaten the Bengals there or miraculous comeback, I should say, hadn't beaten the Bengals there, Tyrod Taylor's probably the starter against the Browns. The Bengals have a historically bad defense right now, last in the league in points per game, last in the league in yards per game. That's who Justin Fields looked serviceable against. Then you saw him against a real defense in the Cleveland Browns, and he was terrible. You're going to see him again against a real defense in the New England Patriots, and if he doesn't play well, I fully expect Tyrod Taylor to be the starting quarterback of this team after their 10-day break with this mini bye. And once you get Taylor in there, he's not an elite level quarterback. He's a backup. That's what Tyrod Taylor is. He's a backup quarterback, but he's one of the better backups in the NFL because you can run an NFL offense with him. Right now, I don't think you can run an NFL offense with Justin Fields. I just don't. That's my opinion. And so, yeah, with Justin Fields out there, it's harder to evaluate these receivers. You can still look at, are they getting open? Are they winning on their breaks? Do they know the playbook? How is their GPS speed when you look at their chips and stuff like that? But ultimately, I don't think you're truly going to get a look at Mechie. You're not going to truly get a look at A.D. Mitchell. You're not truly going to get a look at Arian Smith until you have a guy in there who can go through his reads, go through his progressions, and ultimately pull the trigger.
This is a question that from me, real quick. How come we don't see more of Mason Taylor and the tight ends?
Janae, it goes back to the. I just don't think they don't have a quarterback right now, Janae, that can pre-snap. And this is true. Like, this is what the Jets are struggling with. They don't have a quarterback right now in Justin Fields that can get to the line and see the picture before it happens. He's not going to get to the line, read the defense, and say, okay, this is the coverage. This is what I'm going to see. They certainly don't have a quarterback who can then take the snap and adjust to what the defense then ultimately runs. If they're disguising their coverage and things like that, he doesn't have the ability to go one read, two read, three read. I don't even know if he has the ability to go one read, two read, check down. I talked to a defensive coordinator who game planned for the Jets earlier in this year, and they said their entire plan was jam and press Garrett Wilson at the line because they knew that if they did that, Fields was going one read, check down, one read, run. And if he was going one read, check down, they were completely fine with dealing that all day. So unfortunately for Mason Taylor, if he's not that one read, he's not getting the ball. If he's not that immediate look, he's not getting that ball because Fields just doesn't have the ability to go through the progressions like that. When Taylor gets in there, I think he'll be more active and you'll see him back to that 5-6 target a game guy because you'll have a quarterback that can get to him in the progression. Right now, they just don't have him.
All right, sorry, I just had to went on a little tangent. Sorry. All right, let's go from Joe Mike. With all the cap space the Jets will have in the offseason, what positions do you think the Jets will be most aggressive in targeting and are glaring needs?
Interior of the offensive line is a big one. That's something that's significant because John Simpson's a pending free agent, and you don't, again, when you're a free agent signing from another team, you don't know how he fits in with what the Jets want to do now on offense or even the coaching staff that they have and things of that nature. Elijah Vera-Tucker is the great unknown. The guy's been so injured over the last three of the last 4 years that you can't.
Honest to God, Connor, I totally forgot that he was on the team.
Yeah, and I still think there's a chance he comes back because he's not going to have a robust market. The Jets can get him on a very team-friendly deal. He can continue to rehab with the doctors that he knows, and then he's kind of a scratch-off lottery ticket. You can't rely on him. So the interior of the offensive line needs to be addressed because the Jets certainly look like they have their bookend tackles. Wide receiver 2, depending on what they do there with their draft picks, I personally prefer going the veteran route, especially if you're going to draft a rookie quarterback. I don't love the idea of rookie quarterback paired with rookie receiver and they're learning together. I'd rather have, Garrett Wilson's a stud. Give him a savvy veteran on the outside who's going to be a route technician, be exactly where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there. So you just take one variable out of the equation for the rookie. If the Jets choose to go the rookie quarterback, you can go draft another receiver in the second round, third round, have him be your number 3 guy, your slot option, something like that, or have Garrett Wilson, the veteran, then a rookie. Love that plan as well. But I just like having a technician who is just a no frills, no BS, no change, just does exactly what he's supposed to do when he's supposed to do it, opposite Garrett Wilson, just so that rookie quarterback has a safety valve and eliminates one thing he has to think or adjust to. So I like going that route in free agency. Cornerback now is going to be a major need. I know people like A.Z. Thomas, but you have to be realistic about the evaluation of him and what he probably has his ceiling of. Brandon Stevens is there, but you're still going to need someone opposite him and adjust the safety position, and also probably add a pass rusher as well with Quinnen Williams gone now on the interior of the defensive line. But The good news for the Jets is they have a ton of draft picks to find these players, and they have a ton of free agent space. So they can be aggressive in rounding out this roster, even more so considering the Justin Fields contract is coming off the books after 2026. The Aaron Rodgers contract is off the books after 2026. And you're going to have a rookie contract that you're going to have the luxury of dealing with the next 4 years.
All right.
Although most rookie quarterbacks are worth a damn, they end up getting paid after 3 years, but still, you know what I'm saying.
Got you. All right. So this is our last question. Comes from Ed Helinski.
Sure.
Now, I wish you had your Olaf costume or like a Santa Claus costume, because this is literally a great question from him. With it never hurting to get a head start on the holiday season, what should the Jets be asking for from Santa this year?
Good question.
Were they on the naughty list or the nice list? That's my question.
Aaron Glenn's on the naughty list. I would say some draft luck. I was actually talking to a general manager this afternoon on my ride to New England, and he was asking me about the Sauce Gardner-Quinnen Williams trades, and if I was surprised, saw it coming, that kind of a thing. These guys are all curious about what reporters know and when they know. And again, this is a GM of an NFL team, and he said to me, he goes, I was surprised they pulled those two. They did those two deals, and I was like, really? Why? He goes, well, maybe a little bit less with Quinnen, because I told him how disgruntled he was. He goes, but with Sauce and then even with Quinnen, it's really hard to find a very good cornerback in the NFL, let alone a great one. It's even harder to find a 3-tech that dominates the way that Quinnen Williams does. You're kind of trading those players for picks. And again, this is a GM, not my words. You're trading those players for picks that you hope you find those players with. And that is an educated crapshoot of whether you're going to find those players. 2, you might not find players who are even as impactful. You might find a starter. That's a really successful draft pick, but now you just traded a tremendous player in Quinnen or a tremendous player in Sauce for a starter. That's a step back. So I think for the Jets, they just need some draft luck, and they need to be able to hit a home run in these picks. And you don't want to look back at it, but it's true. You want to compare it to the class that landed them, Sauce and Garrett and Jermaine and Breece. You want that reciprocated not reciprocated. You want that replicated again. And you just hope that this time it leads to playoffs and wins, when the last time the Jets had all their cap space and 5 first-round picks over 2 years, it turned into an elongated playoff drought that we still haven't seen a postseason game in 15 years.
All right, well, Connor, this is my last question. It's from me again.
Okay, hell yeah.
Considering we're going up to New England.
A loyal listener of the show.
Yeah, no, exactly. Here we go.
Yeah.
We're going to be in New England tomorrow. They have the best clam chowder in the press box. It's one of my favorite parts about the New England trip. Mm-hmm. So in that note, you were just in Chicago. How's the press box food rating? We haven't talked about this, the rankings.
That was not good.
All right, we haven't discussed it. Has there been any changes? Is Buffalo moving up?
Chicago's terrible. I don't know how it was. It was 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock their time. They had pre-packaged breakfast sandwiches on English muffins that were very questionable. Pieces of quiche that were not very good. Halftime was pastrami, but it was very hard to chew and even harder to cut. The hot dogs were boiled and gross. They had popcorn, which was I love popcorn out of a popcorn maker. I feel like it tastes so good. It's just like movie theater where it's all buttery and salty. I love that, but they had nothing to put the popcorn in, so you had to take cups and try to fill it in there, and it was not good. But I did have two very, very, very good meals in Chicago, where the night I flew in on Saturday, we went to Lou Melinotti's for deep dish, which I'm a big fan of deep dish pizza. It's different than New York pizza, but I still like deep dish pizza. And then the next night, shout out to Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post, we went to Rosebud, Italian food in Chicago. Apparently, it's a really popular, famous place. Jeane, they had chicken parm, Parmesan chicken parm's their famous thing. I had it with vodka sauce, and it was this big. It was ginormous. Good? Very, very good. Yeah, the best chicken parm I've ever had? No, but it was again, we're from New York. New York up here, North Jersey, the Italian food you're going to get there is better than anywhere you're going to find other than Italy. So but it was very good. It was a good meal that I was happy I ate.
All right, but you didn't answer my question. Has there been any changes to the press box food rankings?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant with Chicago. I thought you were talking specifically.
No. I just added Chicago. No, you've been to Chicago, so I was just wondering, have we moved in?
No. You're still the top spots for me are still Dallas, still Atlanta, still Tampa. Those 3 are just so spectacular. Those are just they are elite level press box. The 2 that really separate themselves above anything else, Jeane, are the Dallas, because it's literally, you know this, it's
Oh, you
literally
can't.
like a restaurant.
Dallas is like in a league of their own. Like you can't even
Yeah.
compare with that.
They're an actual restaurant. Like if you bought that
Yeah.
food and ate it, you'd be like, wow, that's pretty good. Like it's an
A
actual
prime
restaurant
rib.
level
Come
food.
on.
And their mac and cheese. I'm not even a big mac and cheese fan, and their mac and cheese is spectacular. And then Atlanta really has come up with the soft serve machine and all that stuff in there. The one I got to get to, and I got to actually talk to Dan Popper, who used to cover the Jets for a while, and I was at the Chargers athletic writer, is LA. I haven't been to LA yet to know if that press box is any good in Seattle. Seattle are the two I still got to go to, and then I've been to all 32.
All right, yeah, me too. The last one I have to go to is SoFi. All right, on that note, by the way, omelets at MetLife Stadium on Sunday.
So I got to give a giant shout out, pun intended, to the Giants. So the way that I compare it is I found out that the catering at MetLife is if anyone who's gotten married and had to pick their, like, there's tiers almost every place you go to get married. There's like the silver, the gold, the platinum, the extra platinum, and how much you pay per head ends up being the kind of food you get. The Giants pay a tick or two more than the Jets do, so their food this year has been really good. We had cake pops, Jeane, at the last Giants home game. Giants themed cake pops, Mrs. Fields cookies, chicken cutlet sandwiches. The omelet bar is always there. And in fact, the night game that I covered with the Giants, they swapped out the omelet bar for a pasta bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm a little gluten intolerant. Like, I'm gluten in denial. Basically, I eat it and then just feel horrific the next day, but I don't want to give up like once a week, or not once a week, but once a month or once every couple of months, I'll allow myself to have pasta or pizza and just know the next day I'm going to feel like crap. Basically, like when you drink too much. Like, we're just going to be hungover tomorrow. We'll deal with it. We're going to have fun tonight. That's how I approach gluten. It's like, I know this is going to be a bad day tomorrow, but let's enjoy ourselves. So it's the pasta bar at MetLife was pretty fun for the night game too.
All right. Well, now that we all know that Connor needs to eat gluten-free, let's wrap this show up. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Jets Mailbag. Like we said before, we will be with you every week of the Jets 2025 season to answer your questions. Submit your questions for next week's episode on Connor's, or SNY's Twitter account, or drop them in the YouTube comments below this episode. For Connor Hughes, I'm Jeane Coakley. We will see you next week. And Connor, enjoy Rhode Island. See you tomorrow.